we've talked a little bit about Cynthia Nixon. We saw her earlier in the program. She's brought a change to this race. And I think a lot of people were just kind of expecting, okay, Andrew Cuomo versus whomever it is on the GOP side. But it's a different storyline, one that we'll be following, I guess, until September. Mm-hmm. I was a little curious. We saw in her initial campaign video, I don't even think she mentioned Andrew Cuomo's name. And so I was curious to see how she would come Monday in Albany. Would she mention him a lot? Would she attack him? Boy, that was answered pretty quickly. She came out swinging.
Yeah, she was aggressive. Andrew the bully, she kept saying over and over again. And, she pointed out what we talked about earlier about not having a woman in the room when it comes to sexual harassment. Mm-hmm. She talked about the corruption scandal involving Joe Percoco that just wrapped up. He was convicted of on 3 counts, Cuomo's former top aide. She went on and on about the failed economic development policies of the governor. So this was her first opportunity to be before the Albany Press Corps, and she was here to talk about more school aid, right, and how there should be more for that. So, she definitely came out on
his
Cuomo.
Propensity to mansplain
yeah.
everything. Well, look, we've covered Governor Cuomo a long time. We know his faults, we know his good points, and she seemed to be able to hone right in on a lot of his perceived flaws and faults and amplify them in a way that, I think it has rattled him. It's got to rattle anybody. She seems to know where his weak points are and just keeps pressing them. But interestingly, his campaign they just don't react.
He doesn't engage.
No.
You ask him about it, and he says, it's political season. What are you going to do?
Anybody can run.
Yeah, but conversely, then you get.
Seen him
exactly. And then conversely, you get a bevy of emails and statements from people who support him knocking her.
Let's talk about it seemed like the orchestration that happened this week after she was talking about the cost of mass transit in New York City and how they might have to look at that. And then, was it Thursday, I guess, there was just kind of a slew of emails from unions across the city.
But that's backfired, or can, right? Mm-hmm. Christine Quinn, she called her unqualified lesbian, Cynthia Nixon.
Well.
And then now they have T-shirts, that Cynthia Nixon's campaign buttons that they're selling on that. So, Cuomo has sent out these surrogates to knock her, but sometimes you can't control what they're saying either. So how do you control that and make sure that
reporters always get kind of suspicious when all of a sudden you get all these emails in a row from people who never contact you otherwise. Like recently, I got one from Elton John supporting Governor Cuomo because of his positions on gay rights.
Elton John?
No, I was thinking now I can probably go to his house and visit him, that we're best friends, so I was pleased by that. But so when they're kind of heavy-handed about this, then the reporters tend to ignore it a little bit and don't treat it as a legitimate story.
Well, at some point, when is he starts to engage her, whether it's the TV ads or actually talking about what she's accusations she's made against him, etc. We know that Zephyr Teachout 4 years ago, who is now the campaign treasurer for Cynthia Nixon, she got like 34% of the vote. She did well upstate. Can Cynthia Nixon do better in the city?
Yeah,
than Zephyr Teachout
to concentrate her efforts down there. Really,
and the union voters, they are powerful, and they do come out to vote. So being on the wrong side of the unions will hurt her.
Well, it's going to be a split,
though.
I think there's a split there, right? Yeah. I mean, you saw some of the private sector unions who were coming out for Cuomo, but will say the Working Families Party. I mean, that's the big intrigue here. Mm-hmm. That's the union-backed party, but it's split. There's public sector unions and there's private sector unions. Some of the public sector unions will likely be for her.
Yeah.
Private sector unions are probably for Cuomo.
Yeah.
They both have big control over that party. How's that going to play out?
Yeah, and who's going to get more voters out on September 13th?